out there. What is the latest and greatest? Hope everybody's doing well, feeling fantastic and excellent spirits on a Thursday. As we start to zoom through the month of April, April Fool's was a week ago yesterday, and tomorrow's already the 10th. Where's the time going? And here I am trying to get everything together for another podcast, which will take place at 11 a.m. in an hour and 13 minutes Eastern Time to bring you all the latest and greatest what's happening in the world of sports. In fact, let's see. Yeah, but stop driving. Yeah, that's Gary Player on Tiger. Which is interesting, because that's why I'm going to kick off the podcast today. I'm going to talk to Masters. I know that people are going to say, well, JAYREELZ, come on. You got NBA in the final weekend. You got Miles. You know what I want? I'm going to do it to you. You do it to you. Okay, that has to be a song from something. Another Mikey Mills, Patty Mills, Young Black and Rich. Miles, I'm going to do some homework. There's an album called Mad Villainy, made by Mad Villain, which is MF Doom and Madlib. Listen to that album and get back to me. Listen to that album and get back to me. Mad Villain is the artist. Mad Villainy with the Y at the end. Yes. I know you're giving me Young Black and Rich. You're giving me Millie Mills or whatever. You want real hip hop? Listen to Mad Villain. Mad Villainy. MADVILLIANY. Listen to that album and get back to me. I know Young Black and Rich. I know that's you. I get it. But you know what? I'm giving you, just like with the horror movies, I'm giving you a hip hop lesson as far as and you may not even get it. You're gonna listen to it and be like, what the hell is this? But I'm telling you, it's one of the great hip hop albums of all time. And it's underrated. Well, it's underrated to certain circles because everybody looks at rap or whatever you want to call it, but that is the essence of hip hop. Anyway, I get off that. I am excited. Today's going to be an interesting podcast. Masters, which is going on now. They've already teed off down in Augusta. Almost introduces spring in a way, because when you watch that tournament on TV, if you do watch, and it's just exciting. I get it. It's golf. People fall asleep. And can I just call Vendra? Ekin Ovendra. Or Ekin Ovendra. Okay. Can I just call you Vendra? Welcome. How are you? What is happening? Where you from? All that good stuff. But I love the Masters. It's the best tournament. I understand you have the U.S. Open, which is great, Father's Day weekend. PGA, which I don't like, in May, move it to August. Then, of course, you have the Open on the other side of the pond. And I'm going to talk about that on the podcast, too. Why having the 4 consecutive events is, at first, I liked it, but no, I'd rather not. Vlado! I know you wrote me the other day for Easter. Happy belated Easter to you. I haven't, I got to follow up with a lot of people. How are you? Good to see you on here, number one. Number two, how's your mom? How's Marjana? Please, I hope she's doing well. She's always in our thoughts and prayers here. But good to see you. And yes, NBA, I'm going to talk the final weekend of the NBA season, regular season, that is. You have the Celtics who can wrap up a 2-seed tonight against the Knicks in the Garden. I'm going to talk about that too. I talked about it a little bit on the live stream yesterday, every Wednesday, 12 noon p.m. Eastern time. But I want to talk about that, just the Celtics season. I mean, they've won 54 games. Majority of it without Jason Tatum. And with him in the lineup, they're 13-2. I mean, it's crazy. But I'll touch on that. The NHL, I'll get into the hockey, which concludes 1 week from today. Good beat, but. Well, what song are you listening to? Miles, which one? Are you on accordion? I can tell you the songs I listen to. Accordion is one of the greats. Listen to All Caps. Yes, sir. Yeah, but what song? But yes, I'll have NBA, NHL, baseball. I'll recap the college basketball too. I know it's been a few days. I talked about it yesterday, but yeah, I won't dive too deep into that. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting podcast, which is coming at you in a little over an hour right here on the channel. I appreciate those who are logged in to please subscribe. Yeah, it's one word though. One word. You know what I could do? I could send it to your TikTok, if anything. How about that? Because the novice sent me that clip from the other day. So I could do that then. If anything, I could send it to you at that time. All right, cool. But I have to do it after the podcast. It's not going to be till this afternoon. Yeah, a lot cooking. Yeah, right now, Olafable, Kitayama, a few guys are even. I mean, the leaderboard is young. It's way too early. But Kevin Hart's ball goes in the water on the tee shot. Now, please. Yeah, Thunder have the number one seed again. Which clip? You only had a few clips up on there, Miles. No, I didn't see all of them. I'd have to go back. I think you only had like 4 or 5. But yeah, so between the golf, the conclusion of the college basketball March Madness, the conclusion of the NBA season, NHL ends a week from today, playing tournament next week, Stanley Cup playoffs start a week from Saturday, NBA a week from Saturday, NFL draft is 2 weeks from today. What's today? Yeah, 23rd. Baseball. I mean, this is the best month. It's not my Easter. Yes, no, of course. You're right about that. Oh, you're Orthodox? Okay. And your mom, how is she? I hope she's well. Please send her my well wishes, regards, etc. Love, of course. Yeah, and this is the time of year to listen to the podcast for you, Vlado, because obviously a lot of basketball, especially when we get to next week. They already have the they don't have the full schedule out. It's early, but they do have Tuesday night. Phoenix is hosting a game. I believe it's for 10 p.m. So they already have that slotted, and I think that's on Prime. Let me double check that. Schedule. Yeah, Tuesday is they have to be determined at Phoenix. 10 o'clock Prime Video. You want to do a stink bomb prank? Why you want to do that, Miles? So let me see if they have they don't have for Wednesday, right? Let's see. No, then they have Golden State at 10 o'clock, which is no surprise there because it's West. Because I guess those two are already locked into where they're at, so they already have the schedule for those teams. But yeah, the playing scenario. Where are the standings? Yeah, as I'll break down on the podcast, Bio, my man, greetings. Let's see. 21. Yeah, as I look at it here. Yeah, so they have Phoenix Tuesday night, 10 o'clock, and then Golden State at. We don't know if it's going to be at the Clippers or at Portland. Right now, it's at Portland. I'll talk more about that again in an hour and change. But what's fascinating is the East, because of that, and I've been talking about this for weeks, and again, I'll unpack it later. Who's going to be the team that's out? Now, we know Miami's locked in the playing scenario. Charlotte has an outside shot, but chances are they're probably going to be the 9. If anything, maybe they get to the 8. I don't think they'll get to a 6. Toronto has the 6. You want to be the one team that gets out of the 2-7, especially if you're Orlando, Philly, Toronto, because they're all separated by a game. And if you're Toronto, all right, you may play the Knicks in the first round, but would you rather have that or be a part of the play-in where you had a 7-8 game, and if you win the 7 game, you'll be going to Boston, or worse, you lose that game, win the next one, and then go to Detroit. Alzehan. Is that? I hope I pronounced that right. Welcome. So that's going to be the interesting theme over the weekend for the teams that are going to, especially in the East. And Denver's on a roll. OKC wrapped up the 1 seed overall, 3rd year in a row when you think about it, which is lofty company. Nuggets now have, although it's a game and a half, and the Lakers do have a game in hand, but remember, no Luka, no Austin Reeves. But right now they're sitting at 3. And that's the other thing, too. I'm going to go through the schedule, break it all down. I think the Clippers, they play Golden State. Don't they play them tonight? That's the back end of the Prime Video doubleheader. Fuqua. Oh, my God. Yeah, Dave Peterson. You know what's funny? I know he was an all-star last year, and I know he's pitched good games, but he is not a guy you can rely on. I'm sorry. Even going back to that 2024. Now, I understand that during that run, he pitched well, pitched us into the postseason. Remember, he won that last game in Milwaukee. I believe he didn't go complete game. I think he went 8 innings, no runs. I forgot how many hits he gave up. And then remember, they won in Atlanta the day after the heroics by Lindor. But yeah, Peterson, to me, Fuqua is a guy that is a 4th or 5th starter. He should not be a 2 starter. Not in the least. And yeah, he got lit up yesterday. And let's see if they can salvage, or not salvage, because they split the first 2. They got the rubber match today. As I said before, and I'll say it all along, win series. If you could just win series, that's all you could ask for. Yes, winning streaks are nice. Winning streaks are what's going to get you to where you want to go. But would you rather have, and we know the baseball season is impossible, but would you rather have win 2 out of 3 consistently throughout the whole year, or have a 7-game winning streak, then a 5-game losing streak, then maybe a 6-game win streak, then a 7-game losing streak? I mean, you'd rather win the series. And let's see if they can do that against Arizona before the Sacramento A's. Well, I can't say they come to town because they're already in town. They'll play the rubber match against the Yankees this afternoon and then stay over the weekend to play the Mets. But yeah, I'm not a fan. I've never been a big fan of Dave Peterson. And that's the thing. He's the type of pitcher where when you expect him to do bad or not so good, then he pitches well. You're like, oh, all right. Then he gets a bit of a groove, and you're like, all right, now I'm starting to trust this guy. And then when you think he's going to pull through, that's when he goes belly up. And yesterday was a great indication of that. In fact, I know, what is he now? If I look at his stats real quick, I think he's no, wait. Let me think. Yeah, I think he's 0-2, is he not? I know the Mets power numbers right now are down. Let's see, hold on a second. Pitching. Yeah, Peterson right now, 0-2. What's his yeah, I mean, his whip is egregious. He's pitched 14 2/3 innings, and he's had 27 base runners. So it's almost 2 runners per inning. Yeah, he's been atrocious. Yeah, Freddie Peralta hasn't been great either. I know. Listen, I understand why they got Freddie Peralta, but they make Freddie Peralta out to be this guy, and I understand that David Stearns knows him from his days in Milwaukee, but is Freddie Peralta really an ace? To me, Peralta's a solid 2. I'm not even going to say maybe 3. Excuse me as I'm rubbing my eye. I hate to say this. You put him in, let's say, when healthy, the Yankee rotation, Cole, Rodon, Schlittler. Peralta's a 3rd starter at best, maybe even 4. Is he an ace? I know he had ace-like year last year. And listen, he's gotten off to a slow start. I know he had bad luck in St. Louis, but Denver, Minnesota, that'd be a good first round. That would be a good first round. And remember, they played in the conference semis 2 years ago. And what is it? Denver got out. No, Minnesota got out to a 2-0 lead. Denver then won the next 3 before Minnesota won game 6. And then game 7, Denver had a lead in the first quarter and a half, or quarter, like into the second quarter, and then Minnesota just blew right past them and won game 7 in Minnesota. And that was when Minnesota lost to Dallas in 5 in the Western Conference Final. Yeah, I don't. Is Peralta an ace? Put it this way, Fuqua. Answer this. Now we know he's not Paul Skeens. He's not Tarek Skubal. Garrett Crochet. When healthy, you want to say Garrett Cole? Who else can I throw at you? Is he Dylan Cease? It's maybe a smidge better than Dylan. I would say he's better than Dylan Cease. And Cease is not an ace by any means, in my eyes. Listen, I like Peralta, but, when you think of ace, you think of a guy who's an automatic stopper. Is he Jacob deGrom in his heyday? He is not. So, but as far as the NBA, I'm looking forward to it. I know, Fuqua, that is not your cup of tea, the NBA, but this final weekend, I can't believe that the playoffs are just about here. And it's weird because, hello, whoever that is. It's crazy to think that the NBA season, when it started back in October, and we know it's a slog, you got to go through all the holidays. When you get to January, and obviously everybody's wrapped up in the NFL playoffs, and then when you get past the Super Bowl, it's pretty much the All-Star break. And then you go through that stretch from mid-February to, let's say, middle, late March, tournament, March Madness. And then now here you are, you come out of the other side, and here it is, the final weekend. Ethan, what is happening? But, yeah, to me, 18-point lead, yes. Yeah, that's right. That Denver, the game 7? Yeah, that Denver, Minnesota, I tell you, that was a weird series. But here we are, a week from Saturday, the playoffs begin. So it's 9 days from now. And I love those 2 weekends. I love the NBA playoffs, period. But the 2 weekends, because you have 4 games both days. And I understand it's a weekend, out and about. Maybe you're not going to sit and watch all the games. If you can, great. If not, of course, you got to live. But I'll get to that in a minute, Fuqua. Thank you, Ethan. I appreciate that. But those 2 days when you have the games, 1, 3:30, probably like 6:30 and 9. Or I know that you have the schedule like 3, 5:30, 8, and 10:30 also. Yeah, I love those two weekends. And then obviously conference semis and the same for the Stanley Cup. Stanley Cup playoffs. I know the season ends a week from today. I want to talk about my Islanders too, as they had 5 days off. Teams that have surpassed them. I'm going to talk about the good and the bad in reference to that. And yeah, obviously the baseball is still continuing. They stay hot. What the Dodgers did in Toronto. Tough loss yesterday, but they did win 2 out of 3. The brawl in Anaheim a couple nights ago. How about the Rockies? Rockies, listen, it's 12 games in. Before you blink, a month from now, there'll be 40 games behind the Dodgers. I'm exaggerating, of course. But the Rockies, 4 in a row, and they swept the Astros. When the Astros came in, they were what, 6-3? And they say, take your rocket ships and your everything back to Houston. And yeah, baseball's got a lot of juice, man. And that's the one thing. During the baseball preview, I talked about how with the CBA, it's not going to be discussed a lot during the season, but if baseball has excuse me, another very good season, an excellent postseason, dare I even say they have a carbon copy World Series last year and they have that this year. I mean, they have to 1,000% be ready for baseball in 2027. They cannot go into next year missing games. They do that, I mean, disgraceful. An ace is the best pitcher on your staff and stops losing streaks and can win 20 games, 200 strikeouts. Yeah, he has that ability, but his track record doesn't say that. I understand last year he was 17-6. He did strike out over 200 innings. And I think it was, what, 5th in the Cy Young? And I don't want to, listen, he's on my team. I don't want to knock the guy. And remember, he's a free agent after the year. Let's look at his career stats, shall we? 71-42. He's already 30 years old. He's been in the league since 2018. All-Star twice, including last year. Led in wins. Yeah, he hasn't thrown 200 innings yet, although he's pitched in the last 3 years 30, 32, 33 starts, which I was aware of. Very durable. 165, 173, 176 and 2/3 innings last year. You'd like his walks to be down a little bit more, but you like the hits to innings pitched last year, 176 and 2/3, 124 hits. Yeah, you'd like to, I mean, pitchers that throw 200 innings. How about Sandy Alcantara? Almost had a complete game 2 nights ago, and I know there was some controversy, not to unpack that, but he pitched a complete game shutout last week. It was against the White Sox. And then he went 8 2/3 on Tuesday night. And you got to wonder whether or not he's going to be on the market if he continues to pitch like this. And there's a good comparison. When healthy, Fuqua, would you rather have Sandy Alcantara or Freddie Peralta? Alcantara is more of an ace than Peralta is. And that you'd have to agree with. I forgot about him. Let's look at Alcantara so far this year. Alcantara, who's also 30 years old. Yeah, the Cy Young year. I mean, he's thrown over 200 innings twice, including the Cy Young year where he was 228 and 2/3. Was 14-9. Funny enough, he had pitched 228 and 2/3 innings, and his ERA was 2.28. Ryan, hello. What is happening? Yeah, 24 and a third inning. Look at his numbers so far this year. I mean, his whip is unconscious. I understand 3 starts. 24 in the third innings, 10 hits, 4 walks, no homers. His ERA is 0.74, is 2-0. It should have been 3-0 when you think about it. Because that game, hold on, that was 2 nights ago. He was up 2-0, and I think they lost 3-2, did they not? But I would take Alcantara, a healthy Alcantara, before I take Peralta. So yeah, that's what I got, people, with that. Yeah, so like I said, top of the next hour, latest podcast. Got you covered on everything that's happening in sports. I appreciate those hopping on board. Sandy is better. In fact, the Marlins got better starting staff than the Mets. You know, you could definitely say that. I agree with you. I like Yuri Perez. Inconsistent. I did see that bio. I'll get to that in a second. I like Yuri Perez. He's inconsistent. Max Meyer, I think, is good. Another good young arm. They also have this guy, Jansen Junk, who actually pitched well the other night against the Reds. Weird name, but his last name is Junk. Can you imagine? Yeah, no, I like that rotation. And they also had another guy who was on the shelf too. Let me look him up. Is it all right if I look him up? Because in case Mark Sammons is around, Mr. Google boy that I am. Marlin rotation. And of course, I have an investment in the Marlins this year, not financially, just with them being an over. What was that number? 73.5. And oh, by the way, you want to hear about over-under numbers? At the beginning of the year in the NBA, I picked the Knicks over 53.5. Of course, I played the Celtics tonight. They have 3 games left. Obviously, I'm rooting for the Celtics. There's no way I could care less about my little over-unders for fun. But with 3 games left, and 53.5 is their over-under total, and I picked them as an over. So how many wins do they have right now? 51. So if they run the table, I'll go over, and I'll actually be 5-1 in the NBA this year. No, wait a minute. I take that back. I'm not 5-1. I'll be 5-1 in the hockey, and that's just Nashville loses. And Nashville last night. Wait, first things first. I'm all over the map here. You know me. And we'll get your comment. Hold on a second. Let me get to. Yeah, I was getting to the Marlins staff. I know that. Standings. Oh, my over-unders. Here we go. So, yeah, NBA, my over-unders are just about done when you think about it. These are my overs. Knicks, and that's funny. If the Knicks do not win a game, if they lose another game in their final 3, I pick 4 overs. Usually I pick 3 overs, 3 unders. I will lose out on all the overs, but I'll win the unders. Because I picked the Clippers and Memphis as an under. And I picked, get ready for this, Orlando, so much for that. I thought they were going to have a big year. The Knicks, Dallas, because I thought maybe, just maybe, and I picked Milwaukee. Those are my overs. An atrocity. All right, Fuqua, I'll get to that in a second. Average Major League Baseball salary is $5.2 million, which I did see. That is true. But do you know that, what is it? 60% of Major League Baseball makes the minimum. 60. Not everybody's making $20, $30, $40 million a year. And when you dissect it, you would almost think, I know it's impossible, so on and so forth. But it's true. 60% are players that are the minimum. And yeah, that's the average salary, $5.3 million. Which you think that, wait, isn't that low? But that just goes to show you the disparity between the Juan Sotos, the Bryce Harpers, Manny Machado's, the Garrett Coles, the guys that have been getting the big bucks compared to the ones that are literally making 700 and what, 85,000, or they've gotten raises over the years, but close to a million, a little over a million, maybe 2 million. Yeah. You have more players with that type of salary than you do that have the 9-figure contracts. Should Memphis move to Nashville? Or Memphis is third world country. Yeah, you gotten a lot of that recently. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about bio. I'll get to that too. Um, yeah, I haven't heard anything about them moving to Nashville. Now, I think would it be wise? Would it be smart? Listen, they have the hockey team there and they have that arena. Was it Bridgestone Arena? So it's not as if they can have a destination. I don't know how the NBA will play there. And mind you, they're also going to have a new football stadium next year for the Titans. What does that have to do with the Grizzlies moving to Nashville? Well, it has something to do with it because then you'll have new building near where the Predators play. And if the Grizzlies do move there, if you ask me, listen, I haven't been to Memphis. I hear the infrastructure's terrible. I hear that it's players hate going there. It's one of their most disliked cities to visit when they're in town. I know LeBron had come out and said some things about that recently, and then I'm not talking about starting with Stephen A. again, but he's coming out. So yeah, livestock. Hello, yes, again, welcome. But I could say, should they move? Yeah, why not? But they've been in Memphis since how long? Since 2001, maybe. If I had to guess. And to date, they were only in Vancouver for like 5-6 years. They were not there long. And Memphis has changed their name too. Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, they're Vancouver Grizzlies, which makes sense, but that's like the Utah Jazz. They were the New Orleans Jazz, but they kept the Jazz name. They should just change that name also. I mean, obviously they can't now. They've been the Utah Jazz forever, but they could change it. Look, New Orleans had the Hornets. Well, really, they were the Charlotte Hornets. And then go to New Orleans. Charlotte comes back as the Bobcats, then back to the Hornets. And then New Orleans goes from Hornets to Pelicans. So they could change their name. They should be also called the Utah Mammoth. Why not? Be like a situation when you had the NFL in St. Louis, where you had the St. Louis Cardinals football and obviously the baseball team. Can I just remind everyone how much I dislike George Springer? Yeah, I know yesterday, he was hooting and hollering there. He had that big hit. And I'm sure you have nightmares about Springer, especially going back, 9 years ago, right, Bio? Yeah. And listen, tough loss yesterday, but you slaughtered them in game one. And Ohtani pitched well yesterday. What did he go, 6 innings? He gave up an unearned run. Only struck out 2, I believe, but good start for him. Yeah, and Ohtani hasn't gotten up to the greatest of starts either. Kind of like Judge. I know he's hit a few home runs, but what is he batting? Has he even hit the Mendoza line yet? Let's see. I know Judge has been batting under 200. I would have thought Andy Paz batting 413 after his postseason last year. Oh, no, he's batting better than I thought. 267, 3 homers, 8 RBIs. But Aaron Judge, I know it's funny, he has similar numbers. I think Judge is like 3. Last I checked was 3.7. Let's see. But he was batting under the Mendoza line. Judge is 3.7. Oh, he's up to 244 now. Okay. I know. Then I had people with Ben Rice. I mean, come on. Yankee fans. This is going to be all year with these damn Yankee fans. Oh boy, of course. Yankee fans come out. Ben Rice. Oh, he leads the majors in OPS. Now he's down to 1227. And the other day, I think it was in the four. It was like 1404 or something like that. And I just laugh. I'm like, can we get to at least Memorial Day before we start looking at Ben Rice's OPS? And granted, he's off to a great start. Not going to knock him, but again, those are the Yankee fans for you. Springer complained to the umpire about Ohtani getting extra time to warm up. Oh, is that right? Ah, I didn't know that. Yeah, a little gamesmanship on Springer's part. The door goes crazy when you talk about the Yanks. Yeah. Or if there's somebody at the door, not that they were at our door, but somebody next door, I guess Amazon's, Yeah, and I hear the dog next door, and I hear people talking outside. All right, so enough of that. Abdul, how to deal with such kind of people who manipulate? How to deal with them? Try not to deal with them. I mean, unless they're your family, but they have to be spoken to in a way where you just got to be frank and forthright. Area 51. You should have done steroids and been a wrestler when you were younger. Nah, I got mic skills. Thank you. I try. Abdul Rahim, you're welcome. I appreciate that. But yeah, I didn't see that with Springer and getting at the umpire with Ohtani and all that. And I do like the ABS system. I mean, if you don't like it, then. But it's crazy though. I think the ABS system. I understand you get the 2 challenges, and it takes 10, 15 seconds. I understand it's the first year. Maybe to get rid of the challenges by next year. I can see if the challenges take a minute, where if you blow the first challenge, etc. But a lot of these challenges are successful. And yeah, I get it, the human element. But remember, we were watching the clips yesterday of the 90 World Series. And I think, who was the umpire? I think that was Frank Pulley. Man, that strike zone was like the size of a county. I couldn't believe that. Yeah, let's see. 1990 World Series seasons. Yeah, I need to find out who in the hell was umpiring game 1. Yeah, because the way he punched that looked like Frank Pulley, if you ask me. That was when the umpires, if you recall, it was AL, NL back then. All right, here we go. World Series. Game 1. All right, umpire. Your home plate umpire, none other, Frank Pulley. The time of the game, 2 hours and 38 minutes. I mean, that's how baseball is now when you think about it, for the most part. Yeah, unbelievable. Baseball. Frank Pulley. And to think, I can't believe that. To this day, I can't believe the Reds swept the A's. And I was rooting for them. I did not want Oakland to win. I mean, look at this. Ricky, Willie McGee, as we saw, Canseco, McGuire, Connie Lansford, Terry Steinbach was a good catcher, Willie Randolph, Mike Gallego. And yeah, a good team. And they got beat up. 4-game sweep. Look, 7-0 game 1, 8-3 in Oakland. Game 2, 5-4 and 10. Let's look at that for a second. And Oakland had a 4-2 lead after 4 going to the bottom of the third, or bottom of the fourth. And they scored 1 in the 8th, 1 in the 10th. Canseco homered. Yeah, that game's a little fuzzy to me. And that was what? Bob Welch, rest in peace. 7 1/3 innings. Danny Jackson went 2 2/3. Jack Armstrong, who I remember one year he made the All-Star team. I think it was in '89. He was 11. Cowboy Joe West. Yep, Eric Gregg. Yes, John McSherry, who caught a heart attack in Riverfront. What was that? 96. Literally on the field and collapsed. Yeah, Joe West, Eric Gregg, John McSherry, Ken Kaiser was another one. Then you had Harry Wendelstedt, which of course his son is Hunter, who's I believe still umpiring today. Dave Pallone, who was awful. If you remember Pete Rose bumping Dave Pallone, or maybe I was Frank. No, I think it was Dave Pallone. He was a terrible umpire. He was the Angel Hernandez of umpires back then. And these are the National League umps. The American League umps, Tim McClellan. I love Tim McClellan. I thought he was great. He was one of those guys that was behind the plate, and it would take like forever to call a strike. Like he's almost like standing up, and when the pitch comes, he does one of these. Like he stays there and he goes, like very subtle, discreet. Yeah, Rich Garcia. Yeah, Ken Kaiser was an American League umpire. I remember a true story. You ready for this? I went to game, I think that was 5. I should know this off the top of my head. Let me go back to that season. Hang on. I think it was game 5. It was a Sunday before Columbus Day. Remember, that was the strike year. My father got tickets, and he probably won't remember this. My father got tickets to Yankees Brewers. That was maybe in the ALCS? No. Yeah, because the Yankees, I think, played Oakland. Because remember, they had the extended format that year. All right, let me look this up. But I never forget, it was a Sunday night. It was the day before, it was before Columbus Day. And I went. And my father had great seats. Third base line, about, I want to say like 3 or 4 rows from the field. And Ken Kaiser was the third base umpire that night. And Ken Kaiser was a comedian. Like, let's say every time like a ball would go foul down the third base line, he would do one of these. I'd look at the ball, and then he'd have everybody laugh. And then people would chant at him, and he was like shrugging his shoulders, like, hey, or trying to boo him, and he'd go, ah. He was having fun with the crowd. He was fantastic. And I just got to look up that game. I know it was game 5. I just got to remember what 81. All right, here we go. They played the Brewers, I remember. And of course, it was a division series at that time. Yeah, they played Oakland. Let me see. Game 5, October, and I remember Reggie hit a home run. Reggie, in his first at bat, hit a towering shot, which I thought was gone, but it was caught at the warning track. And then his next time up, he hit a home run. And as it is right now, and Gorman Thomas, yeah, here Reggie hit a home run off Moose Haas, Oscar Gamble, yeah, Rick Cerrone. Yeah, they won 7-3. And it's funny, you look at this Yankee lineup back then, geez. Nettles and Jackson, Dave Winfield, that was his first year. The shortstop, Larry Milbourne, I remember him, Jerry Mumphrey, Rick Cerrone. How far did, Moose Haas was a right-handed. Guidry only went 4 innings. Maybe he was on 3 days rest. There it is, Ken Kaiser. As a matter of fact, I take that back. Ken Kaiser was not the third base because it's right. In the playoffs, they have it. Ken Kaiser was the left field umpire. So, but I remember being closer to third base because Kaiser was pretty much right in front of us. And the left field umpire is not going to be all the way in the outfield. He's going to be somewhere in between. But I remember being closer to third base, and Kaiser was the ump. Yeah. Oh, and I also got to say, bio, Harry Wendelstedt threw out Jay Howell against the Mets. 88, yes, he did. Because he was the crew chief, I believe. Yeah, did I have his crew chief here? I remember that. And I know we didn't talk about this bio. Rest in peace, Davey Lopes. And I'm sure we were both young enough to watch Lopes. 76, oh, sorry, 77, 78 against the Phillies, advancing. And I remember watching those games, the 77 World Series, 78 as well. I should have had this charged. Why didn't I charge that? Yeah, Lopes was a great base dealer. Very good player, scrappy player, had some pop. Number 15 had that porn mustache and had the classic infield, obviously Garvey, Say, Russell, Lopes. I don't even know, would they, any cause of his death? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, rest in peace for sure. No, and it's crazy when you think, listen, and you get it, that was the 70s. You know, when you think of the players that have recently passed, Dave Parker, Lopes, who else from that time? It was another person not too long ago. Oh, Gary Carter was years ago. But and Carter, I believe, today's his birthday. I saw that somewhere. Today would have been Gary Carter's, I think, 72nd. Let me double check that. The kid. Oh, it was actually yesterday. He would have been 72, April 8th, because today's the 9th. Yeah, absolutely. Same here, Bio. I grew up on those guys also. I mean, those are they showed those games all the time. Obviously, baseball, ABC. And Garvey should be a Hall of Famer, by the way. The novice. Greetings. Yeah, Garvey should be a Hall of Famer, too. I get it. He doesn't have big-time power numbers. Oh, yeah, absolutely, Fuqua. I'd take it. But you know what's funny? Yeah, listen, I'd sign up for that. Let me get to 80, but I don't want to collapse. I mean, for me, that's 23 years. I understand 23 years is not 23 months, but still. If it was an 8, I'd like 85 would be. I definitely. Listen, I'd take 80. If somebody said something right now, well, hey, it looks like 72, or it looks like it could be 68. I'd be like, all right, where do I sign? I'll sign in my blood for 80. But obviously, that's the thing. We never know. Which is even more the reason to enjoy the moment and enjoy life. And that's why I'm even, as I say all the time, the gratitude for you guys that always hop on board and support me, etc. But yeah, Garvey, let's look up Garvey's numbers. And Garvey was an MVP in 74, had the consecutive game streak, most in National League history. What was it, 1209, something like that? Maybe it was more than that. It's funny, Garvey has, because you know how much I love the black type. Lopes was leading goal for the National League in 1980. Oh, was he really? And the game was at Dodger Stadium that year. No, wait. Yes, it was. 78 was in San Diego. Fuqua, my grandma lived to 95 the last year. Yeah, no, I get that. But the thing is, Fuqua, I understand you could do your best for take care of your health, exercise, eat right, whatever, and you could still, anything could happen. But I hear you. Yeah, and a lot of that too is, and I'm just saying this generally speaking. Obviously, I don't know your grandmother, never, rest in peace. But, outlook on life, how you take care of yourself. Listen, I mean, we're all not going to get out alive, not to sound all like somber and sad and stuff, but yeah, I just hope that if I get to 80, 85, 90, God willing, yeah, that I'm still active, running, eating right, which, it's par for the course, but Vic, who always has those good questions. Welcome, my man. And Vlado, what do you got? Memphis Guns? No, no. Well, remember, you used to have the Baltimore Bullets that became the Washington Bullets. And then they got rid of that name. I think that was in the 90s. Yeah, I think it was like late 90s, maybe 97, 98. They became the Wizards. Jesus is better than Jordan. All right, Ruff. I won't argue with you on that. Yeah, All Stars. Yes, in the '80, and that game was at Dodger Stadium. The Mets only had one All Star representative because the Mets were awful, and that was John Stearns, another dearly departed catcher. Um, Vic, NCAA panel is scheduled to propose a 5-year eligibility for athletes starting either when they are 19 or graduate high school, no exceptions for injury. Yeah, I know. And the leader of a free world is trying to propose that where they could only move once. Also, on top of that, they could only use the transfer portal once. I got news for you. We know college sports is crooked, and the sad thing is that with the transfer portal, there could be a kid. Let's say, for argument's sake, a kid grew up in Florida, whether football or basketball. Let's say football, and the kid gets a scholarship at University of Florida, but then he realized how good he is. He's getting NIL money. He's in the SEC, but then now you have guys like Lane Kiffin, Kirby Smart, Kalen DeBoer, going down the list. Steve Sarkisian. They're going to say, "Hey, kid," and I'm sure Florida has a lot of NIL money, but you got Texas, you got LSU, Georgia, Alabama. They're going to say, "Hey, kid, I understand you're in Florida, but you stay in the SEC. You're still not far from home, but we're going to give you $2 million more." You think that kid is going to go ahead and take that? So, yeah, they may get the opportunity to go for that one shot. But, and listen, I like it because, when you have all these players moving from team to team and they're 25 years old, I hate that. Did I miss the new Spygate going on in New England conversation? Oh, you're talking about the Mike Vrabel thing with Diana Rossini? Yeah, that is. Now we're going to go TMZ for a minute. Yeah, I don't know what. Hey, listen, I try not to get wrapped up in that. Now, let's say if Vrabel got fired, I would talk about that on the podcast because now you're talking about jeopardizing his job, and I don't think it's going to. But yeah, like what's going on there? Both of these individuals are married, and here they were, I guess, at the what was it, at the meetings in Arizona, and hugging it out and poolside, and maybe they're both going through divorce. Who knows? I mean, right? It's none of my business, but when it's out there and you see it, I mean, what's happening? Is this Coldplay all over again without the Coldplay? Yeah, Bryson. Yeah, with a 5 I made for a 3D printer. Yeah, I did see that. Now I got news for you. We can lay low with that. I'm going to bring that up on the podcast too, by the way. Yeah, I see what you're saying. That I was with the Eagles. I'll get to that in a second. Here's the thing: if DeChambeau has an awful weekend, and I picked him to win the Masters, this is prior to me finding out about him using this 3D version of a 5-iron. Yeah, if he goes out and he wrecks the course, meaning that he wins by like 10 strokes because of that, then there's going to be a firestorm. Because people are going to say, wait a second. Why was this used now? Because remember, DeChambeau's a live golf player. And has it been is this the first time he's using this 3D club? So, or 3D iron? There's a lot of layers to this. If he plays well, if he's at the top of the leaderboard, and let's say if he doesn't win, much ado about nothing. But if this is going to propel him to a point where he's just going to bring the golf course to his knees, then who knows? Seems like a conflict of interest when stories come against the Eagles from it. Yeah, I know with the whole AJ Brown. Yeah, I'm not going to get wrapped up in that because we don't know that for sure. And for those who don't know, Diana Rossini, she is a well, they didn't have a sports section anymore, right? Oh, they the Athletic. Yeah, she writes for the Times, and let me see. Yeah, exactly. But they said the Times the other day. I'm like, wait a minute, the Times don't have a sports section anymore. It's the Athletic. So I just wanted to confirm that. And oh, snap! I didn't realize that she's from the Bronx. Oh, she was born in the Bronx but grew up in New Jersey. All right. Yeah, spouse Kevin Goldschmidt. So anyway, so yeah, and supposedly ties with the Eagles and AJ Brown and maybe going to Foxborough. I mean, yeah, but you're right. I do believe that it's yeah. I guess we'll see in the coming days and weeks with that, Denabas. Vic, thoughts on North Carolina basketball coach Mike Malone? A little surprising because they like to keep it in house. They want to keep it in the family. And even though this was a year losing in the first round again, and they blew that 19-point lead to Virginia Commonwealth. I know there were rumors of Billy Donovan, Tommy Lloyd. Whom else? There's another person that was out there that was rumored for the job. His name escapes me right now. But when you bring in an NBA coach who does have college coaching experience, he coached at Manhattan, not far from where I live. And where else did he also coach in college? I was drawing blanks. But now listen, and he coached college a long time ago. This is the world of NIL, and I understand it's North Carolina, so they could pretty much get anybody. But listen, you could have gone, you could have done worse. I think it's good for Malone. I think it's good for North Carolina. But now my thing is that because we all know it's part of it is recruiting, but it's all about the NIL money. And there's been actually rumors that because they're a public university and their rivals Duke is a private university, that there's more NIL money in Duke. Now I don't know. This hasn't been confirmed. This is something that I heard recently, where Duke has more NIL money to attract more players than North Carolina does. Now we know that North Carolina's a blue blood; they could pretty much get anybody, and I don't know unless I could get that confirmed. But yeah, I think it's a good hire. I think he's capable. Climate's a lot different now than when he coached many moons ago. But I listen. I can't knock it. I think it's good. And also, someone knows something because there was a private investigator watching them to get those shots. It wasn't random. If nothing is going on between them, story plans because they're very good friends. Yeah, I mean, that's suspicious. That's all there is to it. That is, and to think if both of them were single, it wouldn't be as bad. I mean, you could still talk about like the stories of on the inside and what that's one thing. And we could talk about that until we're blue in the face. I got something in my eye. But because they're both married, and it's not as if they were walking by the pool and just having a conversation. I mean, they're literally like locking hands and the hug, and it's just like, what are we doing? And that's the thing that puzzles me. And yeah, I get it. It could be harmless. I don't know, but again, it looks suspicious in many ways. So, but like you said, if nothing's going on, yeah. And I don't even know if anybody's approached. I could think maybe Rossini's a little bit more approachable because Vrabel, they'll probably just say no comment. Where Rossini, she's a reporter, and if her fellow members of the media, her contemporaries, are going to come out and say, Diana, what's going on? And she has every right to say, oh, it's none of your business, but still, it could be a thing. It's like, oh, wait a minute. We don't even want to talk about inside information. He's married, you're married. Like, what is happening? Unknown, go Birds. Eagle fan too, huh? Yeah, what is this, man? I got something in my eye. Ugh. Let me see. Ooh, 1047. All right, I'm going to allow. She released a statement already. Oh, did she really? Oh, let's look that up. Yeah, I'm going to sign off in a few because I got the podcast at 11. Diana Rossini comments. Statement. Diana Rossini's harsh comment about husband resurfaces amid Mike Vrabel report. Spotted holding hands, hugging editors. Yeah, we know. Yeah, like, why? If you guys are married, like, why are you out here doing this? Yo, that is bananas. And even though I know you said, Donovis, that there was a private investigator, but even still, let's just say, for argument's sake, they're walking out of the hotel, and let's say they're hand in hand. I don't know. Security's capturing that, and that's security cameras outside. There's security everywhere. She said the situation was laughable. I hate to say it, it's laughable until more stuff comes out. Text exchanges. Who knows what has been exchanged text-wise between Vrabel and Rossini. Listen, I'm not the morality police. Obviously, it's their lives. Maybe nothing's going on, whatever. But come on. Again, suspicious. In the wake of the report, Rossini's old comment about her husband, Kevin, and executive at Shake Shack resurfaced. I think we all do weird things when we're in love. We overshare and overpost. I'm married to someone average. I don't post a lot about him. If I was married to someone beautiful, I'd overpost too. That's not good. I think we all do weird things when we're in love. We overshare and overpost. I'm married to someone average. Yeah, that's kind of whack. She may be right about that because if he's an executive at Shake Shack, he's not Brad Pitt. Yeah, Kirk Cousins from Mendoza. Yeah. Is that a transplant rug? No, it kind of may look like that, but it's not. That is my hair. No spray, no plugs, nothing. I can promise you that. Ultima Lex. Yes, very good, Vic. With Cousins. Um, More recently, Rossini joked about her marriage falling apart. You know who lets me know my marriage is falling apart? My mom. I don't know. Is Rossini kind of doing this to be? I don't know. You kind of want if there's an agenda, which is also a little sus. Not to say that she's using Mike Vrabel in that regard, but yeah, like she's on these podcasts and she's talking, oh, my husband's average, and I don't know. It just smells fishy. The hotel was 2.5 hours away from the owners' meeting, but her husband is a big Eagles fan. Wow. A fine head then, sir. Thank you, Ultima Lex. Good call, then, Novice. Wow, 2.5 hours away. I didn't realize that. See, you're on top of it more than I am. I know this big Eagle fan that you are, but yeah, here it is. In a statement, the Patriots coach, these photos show a completely innocent interaction and any suggestion otherwise is laughable. This doesn't deserve any further response. Rossini suggested he was speaking with Vrabel in a journalistic sense. Photos don't represent the group of 6 people who are hanging out during the day. Like most journalists in the NFL, reporters interact with sources away from stadiums and other venues. These photos are misleading and lack essential context. These were public interactions in front of many people. I don't know. That buzz is crazy. Hey, Ash. You're talking about, I need to cut it, in fact. It may not look long or it may look fuzzy, but Diana Rossini was previously accused of having an affair. All right. Yeah, I don't know. All right. Well, anyway. Let me get ready to number one in baseball ACC to you. Give us a preview of my talking points. You mean of the podcast? If that's what you're referring to, before I sign off, because yeah, I got to get ready here. Masters underway, but a couple of storylines I want to discuss. NBA's final weekend, where we stand. We already have 2 games that are scheduled, or 2 teams that are scheduled in slots, but games have not been set. I'll recap the college basketball, which I know is 3 days ago, but still. Baseball still staying hot, and the NHL's final week. And his dad's trying to run off his fan for it. Hey, just asserts. Now I'm his father. Look at that. And a previous affair accusation happened where? Uh-oh. Yeah, with the Commanders. As I saw that here. I don't know. It makes you wonder, man. Listen, I don't know Diana Rossini from a whole. I mean, I know she is, but I don't know her personality, whatever. I don't know. Is she trying to be like a celeb writer or something? I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say that. I don't know her. But again, if that's going to be the case, it goes back to everything I've talked about. Everything. Yes, I am new media. And yes, the novice, we got to talk based on your text the other day. I know. I was at the dentist. I'm getting a tooth replaced. I have a temporary in now. But yeah, I don't know if she's out here, what the agenda is or what have you. And I don't want to say she has an agenda. I don't know that. But it just goes to show you in the world that we live in, when you're trying to clickbait, rage bait, putting yourself out there at all costs. I do have some merch, Vic. Not this shirt. I have another shirt. JAYREELZ podcast shirts. If you want, hit me up. I can send you photos if you like. The JAYREELZ podcast at gmail.com. Again, the JAYREELZ podcast, THE JAYREELZ podcast at gmail.com. Hit me up. I'll follow up with you. Yeah, I have 3 style t-shirts, not like this one. The other one that I wear has like the JAYREELZ podcast here and I have stuff on the back. And also I have a few baseball caps. If you're interested, let me know. But I'm going to get more merch. Because, yeah, I got to start. And I understand in order to make money, I got to invest, which I get. But, yeah, merch is coming. More merch is coming. So, yeah, I don't know if Rossini's just trying to make herself out. I don't know. I know I'm like probably getting into this a little bit too more than I should, but yes, it is a novice. Bobblehead doll. That'd be something. You gave me a good thought there. Bobblehead dolls. Me with a microphone just look like I'm yelling? Maybe. Who knows? All right, guys. I got 4 minutes before this starts, so I got to sign off. I want to stay on, but the link is in the description. Oh, it's not in the description here, but the link is on the channel. Hop on board. I will get you your comments, questions, all that in the 12 o'clock hour, I promise. But that's what I got. I appreciate you all. I hope to see you there in the chat come the next few minutes. As always, peace, love, and God bless. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday if I don't see you for the live podcast. But until next time, on the flip, baby.